Hello guys, Wahoo here, back in another video, this time around with the community letter for November. Yes, we have the community letter for November, and of November is of course the best month because it's my birthday month, and I already had my birthday, of course, the 1st of November, right? So thank you so much for the congratulations. No, it's not about me, but it is November community letter, and we are going to talk about it. So it's going to be, of course, Friendsgiving. That's something that's going to come up, but it is quite awesome. The questions we actually got this time around, I read them already because, I want to be a little bit prepared. Usually it's not the case always, but the point is that I am this time around and the questions are amazing. So we just had, of course, the recap right here. And of course, we are going to have Friendsgiving coming up also very, very soon. So that's, of course, the best XP event of the whole year, so look forward to that one especially. So we're gonna start out with the recap. We of course had the Shadows Eve returning, and it was actually quite nice. It was not something super special, I would say, but it was a little bit better than the other events we've had of the recent. So I do think that it's definitely a 9 out of 10 event, and I hope that Friendsgiving is going to be the same as well. So we also have the PTS server running as of right now. I've made a video a couple of days ago. Well, it's a little bit more than a couple of days now, but we do have the PTS server, and there's been a lot of additions to it. I also made a video yesterday where I was talking about you should save your keys, your sparkling keys. That's the good keys. I call them the good keys, and then the standard keys. But the sparkling keys are the good keys, and those are giving you extra rewards. And when the new update hits, we are also going to get even more rewards out of it. So since they're time gated, you should definitely just make them right now, and then don't use them before the update comes out, and just use the regular keys if you have a bunch of those. If you still want to do 5-star dungeons, right now I'm just doing all of the dungeons. I'm just taking a kind of break for those 5-star dungeons, and then I'm coming back to them when I get extra rewards out of it as well. So really nice with the PTS server at the moment, and there's also a link to this one here as well. And of course in the description, this is also, the letter is also, of course, down there as it always is. So you can just go check stuff out if you want to do so yourself. But yeah, the PTS server is up and running, and I'm expecting this to be, as I've said in the other video, that this is going to be a smaller patch, and then we are going to get a bigger patch coming in from just after New Year's. Not just after, but in the new year. They just want to give a little bit of these, additions right now, just kind of a small tweaks here and there. We got the rework of the tutorial last year. We got the tutorial, it was not really something big. And I think we're kind of getting the same thing right here. And then we're going to look forward to something even bigger coming after, in the new year. Not right after, but maybe the end of January or something like that. Start February, maybe there's going to be a PTS server or something like that. Maybe closer. We don't know is that going to be or not. But I don't think people should be expecting too much from this patch, adding more stuff and such. But yeah, this what the PTS server is right now, basically. And also this is what's upcoming, and as you said, Friendsgiving is coming back. And it's going to be, as we usually have it, that big table, I'm pretty sure. And then you have just going around the table and you get all that experience for free. And it also stacks, of course, with a double XP potion and all that. And on Saturdays and all that stuff. I'm not sure if it lines up with, an experience week. We just had an experience week. So I'm not sure. We have the double roll now in this week here. So I'm not sure if it's going to line up, but pretty sure it's gonna line up at least maybe one of the weeks, not at least one of them, I'm pretty sure, but we'll see. Next week it's going to be Shadow Invasions, and then we're gonna have, of course, double star bar, and then we're gonna have XP again. So we'll see in the future what that is going to, how it's going to line up. But it's going to be, in November. So my guess is that since we got the community letter today, I don't think we're going to get the event tomorrow. But we'll see. It is Tuesday tomorrow, but they could also wait until the next week to get it. We'll still have 14 days. And then, we're going to have Christmas event. That's going to be around, Christmas at the end of the month. And then also, the New Year's event that's going to come right after. So my guess is that they're going to, pencil it out a little bit, with the event putting at the end of the month. I think that they're going to give themselves another week to do all of these as well. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I'll make a video for it, so you guys can just follow on the channel and you will get notified. You don't even have to watch the video. I hope you watch the video, but you can see that, oh, it's out, and then you can do it, right? Anyways, community questions, we have 4 of them, and we are going to talk about them right here. So this first one is that they want like a checkbox of a filter checkbox for crystal gear. I really hope that it's going to be for all of it, because I like to pick up all the items, because sure, yes, you can have the filter. There is actually a loot filter in Trove. If you didn't know, there's actually a loot filter where you can only pick up, like, for example, then shadow gear and above, and then, or stellar gear and above, or crystal gear. I was about to say above, but there's no above crystal gear, right? But you can basically set it so when you hold down your loot all button, which is usually E, usually on PC it's the loot all button. That's the loot button, so you just hold it in. If you didn't know that, there's a few people that actually didn't know that, and it's been around forever. So, but it's not really set anywhere. So hey, I'm telling you now, you just hold down the button and you pick up everything there's in a radius of you. It doesn't pick up like everything, but you does have a radius on it, right? But the point is that it will only then pull, for example, crystal gear in if you set it to having only crystal gear. But they kind of want a checkbox of filters. I really just kind of want them to unlock crystal 1 gear or crystal 2 gear, and then 3 and 4 maybe as well. But at least 1 and 2 you could basically put as like a check mark. I really hope there was more settings you could set in Trove. I really wish there was a lot of that. I could really use a lot of things that can like customize the experience of that. I wish there was just way more ways to customize Trove without using mods, for example. That's really, I really want us going away from mods and getting all those stuff implemented. So like, for example, a really nice chat mod be implemented, or other things that has quality of life, because it doesn't help PC players because we can just get all the mods that we want. We can just, pile on. But I do also think about my console players, on Switch and Xbox and PlayStation. Those people don't have access to that, so that has to be added to the game. So I really hope stuff like that does get added to the game, so they also have that quality of life added to the game. So they say that it's a very understandable request, and it's already on their list of potential features, allowing early following something earlier on feedback on the Discord. They can't confirm when it's coming, but it will be added in some time in the future. We'll take this opportunity to move specific features higher up on our list. So again, a more quality of life updates. There is a lot of mods out there, for example, that is just right there for the picking. I don't know if there's any like complications with that or whatever, but there's definitely some mods out there that doesn't, it's just quality of life updates. Doesn't change very much or anything like that. I try to keep it at a minimum, those mods, so I kind of play as vanilla, but there's just some mods that are just so great. And I'm not talking like boss radar mods and stuff like that, but for example, the chat mod that I have, for example, where you have the whispers on the left, so you don't miss a whisper, but it captures those whispers, and then you just kind of have a big line, of course, if people keep whispering you, but you basically don't miss a whisper ever, because usually it's in the chat, and then, if a lot of people are chatting and stuff like that, then it just disappears and you never see anybody chat it to you. So for example, like that is just like, it's a little bitty thing, but I've never missed them. Well, of course I can log out right as it happens, right? But it kind of saves those whispers if you go to the bathroom and come back, and then the whisper could have been gone, but now it saves that whisper. That's super awesome to have indeed. So I think there is a lot of nice, amazing, and they don't have to like scroll through like a million mods to find out which people are most popular, but they can just they can see the top ones are the ones that people use the most, and that's of course the ones that people want the most also, of course. And yeah, those just be super much better. So they also talk about plans of a club update. Clubs are a huge part of the game, definitely is, and it's a great thing to see an update feature, custom commands, improved building mechanics, and so on and so on. Yes, I've talked about this before, that I really want also a club update. I really want something more aligned with many other games and such, but they are talking about reworking club features, supporting more fun and engagement community experience remains on the to-do list. I think the most important thing in all of this, talking about revamping clubs, is a way to find clubs. I think the main thing has to be finding clubs, and they're also basically saying that they want to revisit the club in 2026, which is nice. Of course, it's we don't know if that's going to be the beginning or the end of 2026, but at least 2026 is going to be something we're doing to clubs, right? I do think that we should, if there should be anything changed with clubs, I think they're great as they are, like the feature of it as they are right now. I think we should be able to pick up the quest through the UI if you're part of the club, right? That could be kind of nice. Maybe you can, I don't know, do something else and stuff like that. I don't know, but like this, the feature itself as it is right now, I don't think needs a lot of updates. Maybe they need some additions, but I don't think that needs to be like updated in certain ways. But other than maybe you can like pick up the quest through the UI instead of going to the club world, like using that loading screen all the time. I don't know if that's really huge, but I think the main part is what I talked about in the beginning, is finding those clubs. I think it's super, super, super important for the community and the longevity of Trove that you can find people to play with. Yes, we have the Discords, and Discord is not a hard place, but if you don't know that clubs exist, I still see names of clubs that I didn't know existed, for example. I know clubs get created all the time and such, but I'm talking about clubs that are like quite old and such, and I see a name and it's like, this club has been around for forever and such, and like I've never seen that name before. Of course, it could also be that it basically died out and then nobody plays that club anymore, but still, the point is that there are so many clubs out there and there are so many different criterias to joining those clubs, and if you don't know that club exists, you're never going to find it unless you stumble upon it, for example, or you have a YouTuber like me that keep blabbering about his own club, right? So I really feel like we should have an in-game system that lets you search for those clubs. I know we have a little bitty house in the hub world that I don't think we need at all. I think you should just like bulldoze that thing down and put something else in there, because it's also getting kind of cramped in that little hub world, right? So just bulldoze that building and put in a UI where you can search for, people can set up criterias. For example, I know, for example, the Alpha Legacy, which I'm also part of, that you need a certain amount of mastery, you need a certain amount of power rank on one class and such, and that changes all the time with, of course, updates coming in, and then that's an in-game club. And then you have a club like mine, for example, where you don't need any criteria, you just need to, wanting to be part of it. It's basically it, and being a nice person, that's all it really is. But now you have to go to my description, click the, the Discord in there, right? And then you have to go to Discord, ask if somebody is online for the first, like, and if I'm at work, for example, and somebody, is also not online, for example, because they're doing something else, you can't, you can't join it because people have to be at the same time online, which is a big annoyance, right? You should just be able to set your club as something where you can join instantly, or you can send a request. So, for example, I would set our club up to being join instantly, and if you join instantly and there is room, you join the club. But if there's not any room, then of course it will tell you there's not any room in this club at the moment, and then of course you could go to the Discord and whatever, and there should be like some information for you to find the Discord and then ask, hey, can you make some room because I want to join, and then you can join instantly. And then maybe the other ones, as I said, hey, these people want to have a request, and then you have to fill out how much you have of like power rank and how much you have, like it all goes on in the game, right? Instead of going on a Discord, and then you can also supply it with Discord on the side, right? But you could send a request, and then people could see like what is your highest power rank class, or like how much mastery do you have and such, because we do have that in our friends list. We have the mastery in our friends list, right? So friends list already shows how much mastery you have, for example. So if you have a bunch of mastery, you probably also have a character that's pretty high, because usually that kind of goes hand in hand. If you have like a character that's only like whatever, right, and you have like 800 masteries, be like, okay, that doesn't really make sense. Of course, you could delete all your equipment. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, you really have to find that system so people can find those clubs. And there's a million examples on how to find those. But I really feel like the absolute essence is not clubs itself. I think it's the way to find clubs. And it's, again, another incentive while I'm talking about that social update that Trove need. You need to find people to play with. You need to find clubs to also play with, I guess, but also other people to find. It's basically what is gonna keep the game running for a very, very long time, because it is proven that if you play with somebody, doesn't have to be your friends, you are going to keep playing that game, and that is what, you know, Trove needs, people to keep playing the game. That's what all games want, right? We need that to be playing the game. And if you don't have anybody to play with, you kind of just like, I'm just gonna move on to another game because I don't really have anyone to play with and I just want to move on and not play something else or something like that. Or maybe you have some friends that play a different game and say, hey, come play with us, and then like, sure. You can't really maybe get people to play that game because, you know, they really have to find somebody else to play with and such. So that's also why our club is definitely very much open, so people do have somebody to play with and also have somebody on the Discord. So yeah, that was a long rant. I'm sorry, I kept going and going, but I think it's very, very important, and I will give this feedback also back to the devs at some point, but I have done that in my end of the year video or like start of the year video, and I will do it again this year, and I will make, you know, what Trove needs. I made a way too long one last year, so I'm gonna condense it down to being basically just that next time, because I feel like Trove is in such a good place. I feel like the only thing that's missing right now is, of course, an expansion to the end game at some point, but I really feel like this social update needs to come first, and then we can build on that to make an end game and bring more people into having those as well. So I want to move on, but I hope you guys felt like that was something that you could relate to in the way of the club. So let me go into the last question here. It's become immensely time-consuming locating specific items from in the inventory. Would it be possible to implement search bar or filter system for the inventory UI? And I think that is super, super awesome. They have put it on their quality of life update. They will put it in at some point. Maybe not a search bar or like filter, whatever, but they will put something in so it's easier to find things, because it is becoming quite huge and it will only become bigger and bigger and bigger. And the same thing goes for like a search bar in our personal chest or in our like whatever you want to search for, you should definitely find it. You know, there is a search bar for, of course, the search bar for our, you know, collectibles and such. But I do think that we do need a different kind of search bar or some other way to find, for example, allies. Allies, there is, I don't know how many allies, maybe 2 million allies. Oh, that's not 2 million. Well, at least there is at least 1,000 allies. At least 1,000 allies. I don't think it could be, I'm wrong on if there's 1,000 ones. And you are not going to look at every single ally, right? You're not going to look at all the stats, because there's a bunch of them. There's like maybe 90% of them or 80% of them are just not useless per se, but they're just like there for a skin basically, right? So they kind of look like something cool if you want to make something there, and that's super, super awesome. But I really wish you could find for example, stats. For example, give me all the allies that has above this sort of light, for example, or so much like that gives magic damage, or something that gives magic find or something like that, because you can't find anything. If you don't know, you're not going to find it. You just have to stumble upon it and just kind of look at every single ally, or you be a nice YouTuber and tell you which ones you are going to use, which I might do in the future, but you shouldn't be relying on me. You should be finding it in the game. I should basically be obsolete in all of this, and you should be finding everything you can do in game. Basically, you should be able to at least find something like that and not be hoping that, oh, pray to God that Wahoo would make me ally video so I can know which ones and make one every single, not month, but every single year or half a year, so you guys keep being updated and don't think, hey, this is a really old video, so which one should I use? That's why I have my videos that I don't really update until it's necessary to update, because it's going to be the same. I just have to repeat it, and then it's just gonna have a new date. So maybe a video I made like 3 years ago is still current because it hasn't changed since then. So why should I mention? I could then also just delete the video and then re-upload it again, because I have it on my PC, so I can just upload again to get a new date. It's like, hey, that's the same video. Yes, it is. It is the same video, but you just want to do that. So yeah, I always keep my videos if you know, anything changes. If you know, you know. I will always update my videos if it's necessary, but I don't want to sit here and repeat myself, and I don't want to upload the same video once again just to get a new tag for the whenever it was released, right? So, anyways, if you have any, of course, you know, questions, you want to head over to their Discord, and there's a feedback channel, and you can put it in there as well. So make sure you put in your, of course, feedback for, you know, whatever you want for clubs, for example. That's very, very important. So make sure you go and do that, even though it's not being tested at the moment. And also check out the PTS server if you can. Give some feedback on that. It's not the biggest of updates, but still, it's nice that they're doing that. And more feedback, more you know, good stuff is coming. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!